Aloha! Welcome everyone. I'm Thomas. This is Prepping for Paradise. In this episode of the Matthew 24 report, we'll be going over signs in the heavens, particularly fireballs. Now I'm sure many of you are aware that in the last several years, there's been many reports, many sightings of meteors, meteorites, meteoroids all over the world. I'm not going to go into the individual sightings, but I am going to go over a prophecy or a vision that a woman had over 100 years ago. She is the most published author in U.S. history, male or female, and the most translated female author in the world, a very reputable source. These visions that she had were over several years. She only wrote them down in letters and manuscripts, and they were not published until quite recently by her family, 2015 to be exact, some 110 years after she had these visions. I'm going to read you excerpts from those manuscripts and what she said. A few months ago, I had a very impressive dream. I seemed to see a great ball of fire come down from heaven and strike the earth. In the night season, I had many presentations of the judgment of God coming upon our cities, and now I can say I understand better the real meaning of these scenes that I had witnessed. I am bidden to declare the message that the cities full of transgression and sinful in the extreme will be destroyed by earthquakes, by fire, and by flood. In the night I was, I thought, in a room, but not in my own house. I was in a city where I knew not, and I heard explosions after explosions. I rose up quickly in bed and saw from my window large balls of fire. Jetting out were sparks in the form of arrows, and buildings were being consumed. I was instructed the destruction had gone forth upon the cities. I cried unto the Lord, what does it mean? Their representations of destruction were repeated. In scenes that I have represented that which will be. But warn my people to cease from their putting their trust in men who are not obedient to my warnings, and who despise my reproofs. For the day of the Lord is right upon us, that when the evidence shall be made sure. Those who will follow the voices that would turn these things upside down will themselves be turned where they cannot see, but will be as blind men. The Lord is soon coming in the clouds of heaven with power and with great glory. His terrible judgments are soon to fall upon our world. Are we doing all we can to warn the earth's inhabitants of these things? While I was in the South a few months ago, I had a very impressive dream. I seemed to see a great ball of fire come from heaven and strike the earth. Great houses were in flames, and we were looking on in great distress. Someone said, I knew that this was coming. I knew that God's judgments were soon to fall. You knew that these things were coming, said another. Why did you not tell us? Why did you not warn us and show us these prophecies that we might know? There was a scene presented to me. It was the night before Sabbath that the scene was presented to me. I looked out of a window, and there was an immense ball of fire that had come from heaven, and it fell where they were casting buildings with pillars. Especially the pillars were presented to me, and it seemed as if the ball came right to the buildings and crushed it. And they say it was branching out, enlarging, and they began to cry and mourn and wring their hands. And I thought some of our people that stood there saying, well, it was just as we have been expecting. It is just what we have been talking about. You knew it, said the people. You knew it, and you never thought to tell us about it. I thought there was such agony in their faces, such agony in their appearance. Strictly will the cities of the nations be dealt with. And yet they will not be visited in the extreme of God's indignation, because some souls will yet repent and also be converted. When you see these things, come out of the cities. It is interesting that in Nashville, there's a recreation of the Parthenon with its many columns. I'm not saying that this is the buildings that will be hit, but it is quite evident that this is a warning. When you see these fireballs starting to strike major cities and cause major destructions, it is time to get out of the cities. If you're up on the house, don't go back for your clothes. If you're out in the field, don't go back for your coat. Get out of the cities. It is interesting that this woman also had a vision of men of war in their machines at the bottom of the ocean, and that they would cause populous cities to be reduced to desolate ruin. This, of course, was at the infancy of submarines. Let's take this and share this, so we're not accused of knowing this and not telling others. It's time to trust in the Lord. Until next time.